Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
And I'm D White.
Today on the new party, we are discussing Kamala Harris's VP choice. Drum roll, please. Tim Walz. Woo! I'm so excited because I can confidently say I think she's going to lose now. Gray, you're the Democrat on the line. What do you think of the Tim Walz pick?
I think that he was a DEI hire. I know the right is now saying that it's anti-Semitic that Kamala didn't pick Josh Shapiro, and he had all his baggage. I don't know if people noticed, but Mark Kelly's daughter shared a photo of Molly on like social media. So a lot of these people had a lot of like baggage that Republicans were going to attack. So he was in the military for a long time, in the National Guard. He was a football coach and he was a teacher. And, he has a white wife. He's a white guy. So I think that they're just like, he can speak to rural voters nationally. Even though he hasn't gotten people in Minnesota, I think nationally they think that he can talk to rural voters. What about you, D?
I think he's even to the left of Kamala. I think he's a little extreme. The whole tampons in boys' bathroom thing was kind of mind blowing to me. But I also feel like Miss Nora. I think that the one chance she had to pick somebody great, she blew it. And they didn't want to pick Shapiro because he was Jewish, which is crazy to me. I don't understand that. I thought that they were the party I thought as Americans we all supported the Jews, but I guess it was kind of anti-Semitic for her to bypass him by his religion. But let's get to these clips. I can't wait to see.
Let's get to the clips. Well, let's go back to 2020. What happened in 2020, everybody?
The George Floyd incident.
George Floyd. And who is Tim Walz? So for many of you that may not know, Tim Walz is the governor for Minnesota where the heart of George Floyd happened. This first clip breaks down the literal, abysmal decision that he made that allowed the riots for the BLM protest to happen. The first part of the clip explains how he dropped the ball and did not bring in the National Guard. And then the next clip reminds us what happened during the George Floyd protest in Minnesota.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey has faced heavy criticism for how he handled the unrest following the death of George Floyd. And as John Crowan reports, the mayor now appears to be shifting some of that blame to Governor Tim Walz.
The question has never been, did the National Guard make a difference? It's always been, why couldn't they have been here sooner, before the 3rd Precinct burned Thursday, May 28th?
I think the average person maybe assumes that there's soldiers waiting in helicopters to drop in like they do in the movies.
Governor Walz responding to a trove of emails and text messages released in response to a public records request from City Hall, backing up that Mayor Jacob Frey did indeed ask for the National Guard Wednesday, May 27th. Text from mayor's staff. The mayor just came out and said the chief wants to call in the National Guard to help the 3rd Precinct. A follow-up text exchange from Frey's staff a few hours later. What's happening as far as the Guard? He said Walz was head.
This is the clip to show what happened during the riot.
The 3rd Precinct of the Minneapolis Police Department on fire. Nearby businesses ablaze. This is how the night of May 28th unfolded. George Floyd's arrest and death in police custody on Monday set off protests in the Twin Cities. The protesters are demanding that criminal charges be brought against the officers involved.
Put their fists up! Yeah! We all here! All lives matter!
So this is Tim Walz's America. And just 2 weeks ago, we had a preview for Kamala Harris's America when the Palestine protesters destroyed Washington, D.C. This guy is so far left. I think he makes Kamala Harris look like Trump. Gray, what do you think?
I think showing the George Floyd protest actually helps Tim Walz. I think the George Floyd's death was a big reason Joe Biden won in 2020. I mean, like, because if you look at the evidence, I mean, the officer was convicted. That was a horrific video to watch. So I do think that, I mean, that people shouldn't be burning stuff down and getting upset. But do I think the fact that he is from Minnesota and this happened to George Floyd, and that's going to make him be hurt in the election? I don't think that's going to happen. What do you think, D?
Yeah, I think it absolutely hurts him when they bring back his inability to act when he was needed. You know, the mayor was asking for him. You know, and man, we need some help down here. We need some National Guard. You know, Senate. There was a lot of public unrest, a lot of vandalism happening, a lot of people being innocent, people being hurt. Yeah, a lot of innocent people and businesses being hurt, you know, due to something that they had no control of. None of those people were the police who committed those crimes on
Right.
George Floyd. You know, I am sympathetic for him, but you know, they took it out on the whole community, and they asked him for help, and he didn't send them. I mean, so what happens if America's in trouble? Is he not going to send help? What about you, Miss Nora? What do you think?
No, I think that you brought up good points. And he didn't bring calmness and unity. He stroked the flames. He probably was happy. I mean, this guy is so left wing. I cannot wait to play the rest of the clips of what he's about. To me, the George Floyd thing, as a person of color, I was incensed with George Floyd. We saw the video. We saw him standing on his neck for 9 minutes. So I'm not going to I understand why people are angry. I agree with the feelings of frustration. Now, do I agree with looting businesses? Absolutely not. And I don't believe that government officials shouldn't be sending help when those businesses were being looted. Another clip that I have coming up, it talks about another pretty extreme thing that he did. Unfortunately, you know, in this country right now, we have a big debate on gender affirming care for minors. I'm going to play a clip and we can see what he approved in his state by executive action.
To believe them.
It was an event that had all the trappings of a bill signing ceremony. A huge crowd of lawmakers, advocates, and families, in this case, gathered in support of legal protections for people seeking gender-affirming care for themselves or their children. But the paper Governor Walz signed was an executive order. His action comes at a time when transgender persons across the nation feel under siege.
This is life-threatening.
The Iowa Senate passed a bill Tuesday.
Those in favor of the motion shall say aye.
Barring doctors from providing puberty blockers, hormone therapy, or gender-affirming surgery to anyone under 18. Mississippi passed a similar bill last week, barring gender-affirming care. In New Hampshire, there's a bill that would require schools to tell parents what their kid's gender is.
We'll make sure that Minnesota's place as a welcoming, loving, neighborly state where you are welcome.
So, now, this is a subject that I feel very uncomfortable about, so I'm going to talk about this from a political side. I think this is too extreme for our country to accept, especially places like the Midwest. And I think for this reason, as soon as this gets out, there are going to be people that are turned off from the Harris-Walz agenda. Imagine this. If he did this in his state with executive action, who's to say that they're not going to take some executive action across the U.S.? Gray, what do you think?
I think this is one of the biggest issues for Republicans that they attack. Because as far as like, what is gender affirming care? Is that like they can actually go get surgery?
Yeah, all of it. All of it.
Hormones, surgery.
Yeah. Okay, so like to me, I mean, I don't have a trans. I don't know a trans. I don't know anybody that's went through a sexual transition.
But the issue with it is that it's for minors, for children. That's the issue with it. It's not for. That's the biggest issue that people have. I don't think people care what adults do. I think that's the biggest issue. He signed it for all ages.
Well, for me, well, as like you said, it's a touchy subject. What I'll say is I don't think the government should get involved at all because that's the parents' decision. Like, I don't know what it's like to live with a kid that says, I want to be this, I want to be that. So I don't want to say what that parent should do in that situation. My personal belief, you shouldn't be thinking about intercourse until you're 18. That's a choice where you make when you're older. That's my personal belief. But do I feel like this will come back and necessarily hurt him with swing voters? I'm not sure because I feel like most people probably feel the same way I do. I don't want to be in the bedroom. I don't want to say what they do. So I'm not sure. What do you think, D?
And I think this absolutely is going to come back to bite him in the butt a little later, well, relatively soon, not later. I'll take that back. Like you say, I don't care what two consenting adults do. I don't care what an adult decides to do with their body. But the fact that we don't let children pick what time they go to sleep. We don't let our kids eat cake all day. We don't let our kids decide that they don't want to go to school anymore. We don't let our kids watch things that they're not supposed to watch. But for some reason, a lot of people, well, not even a lot of people, a small majority of people, very small majority of people in this country believe that we should let little kids make life-altering decisions before they can identify 3 states on a map, and that's crazy to me. And I do believe that most people in America, left or right, especially the people in the center, would agree with me that gender affirming care for minors is inappropriate, and we're cutting off healthy
Damaging.
tissue. Yeah, we're cutting off healthy tissue from kids that brain hasn't fully developed yet. My son told me when he was growing up, that he wanted to ride dinosaurs. There's no dinosaurs. He's a child, and a lot of the TV shows that kids watch these days, and a lot of they're pushing this agenda on children. A lot of kids are confused, and there's a big group of kids they're called detransitioners, who have went through surgery and they regret it. They regret it, but there's nothing that we can do to help them after they underwent this surgery. So why would we allow these little kids and parents to push these ideas onto their kids before the kids have a say in it and cause something that we can't fix? So I think that people are going to be turned off, and this is definitely going to come bite them. What about you, Ms. Noah? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an agenda. It's an agenda. It's an attack on our kids. I don't think children under the age of 18 should making that decision. And people like to say, "Oh, you're being judgmental or you're religious or whatever," but those aren't my top reasons. My top reasons is you're not addressing what the real issues are. You're not trying to help them. You're just trying to put a band-aid on it. And years down the line, there's many people that come back and say, "I regret doing what I did. Now I cannot live a normal life. I'm in pain every day. I'm not able to have children, etc." It's unfortunate. But the next thing that he did that was pretty shocking. What else happened in 2020 that we all remember? COVID. So there's a nursing home scandal that he's attached to. I'm going to let the video speak for itself, and then we can give reactions.
New York and California currently have stopped allowing that to happen. At least 27 of today's 33 deaths occurred in long-term care facilities. There have been 932 deaths from the pandemic, including 759 among residents of nursing homes or assisted living facilities. That's 81% of all deaths and the highest percentage in the nation.
I think it's a fair question. I think it's one, though, that there's a complexity around it, both the humanity of the people and this sense of spread. We're tracking it very closely. These are folks that went to the hospital. They recovered, but they're still in that mode. They're going back to their home. And this is where they live. This is their place where they're at. This is that sense of normal. The rest of us, I think, so you self-isolate, but where are we going to put people and think about it? So this was federal guidance. This is what everyone was doing. This was not a mistake. This wasn't like no one.
So yeah, I mean, pretty much he sent back people that were sick and they died, and he spread COVID because of it. I mean, Gray, what do you think about that? I mean, the Democrats were the biggest ones on COVID. They said, the red states weren't following guidelines. He claims that these were guidelines to follow, but he caused the deaths of elderly.
If the Republicans try to attack him on this is definitely going to be a losing subject for them. Even on here, we've talked about COVID on here, and if Trump gets the blame, and we all live in Florida, we know DeSantis let everything stay open. So if they try to have this conversation, that's going to hurt them. And I saw prior to us getting on the call is basically Trump attacked Tim Walz on letting convicted felons vote. We all know Trump's a convicted felon, so it was this big thing of just, oh, Trump, you're attacking him, so you can't vote. So I think they need to narrow what they attack him on, because a lot of stuff that they say will probably end up bouncing back and hurting them. What do you think, D?
Yeah, I actually don't think that the whole COVID thing, with elderly people probably isn't that big of a deal for most voters, because COVID was the wild, wild west. No one knew what was going on. This person said do this, this person said do that. So we all just pick somebody and we listen to them for the most part. But I think that what will is that he was really, he was pushing some the draconian lockdown effects, and he actually set up a hotline for you to snitch on your neighbors and tell on people who you've seen outside. And I think that that's kind of big. That's really big brother of him. So I can only imagine, if he was okay with setting up hotlines for people to tell on each other, telling their neighbors, what other things he might want, so what other kind of surveillance he might be into, or what other kind of big brother type things he'd be all right with. That's my take on it.
Well, I agree. Another scandal. Again, they're starting to bury stories on this guy. So I couldn't get some of the clips and the things that in my research. But another scandal I'll verbally talk about is people are alleging that Tim Walz embellished his military career and abandoned his National Guard battalion. They're claiming that he never served in combat, and he retired from service ahead of his unit's 2005 deployment in Iraq. In a letter posted to Facebook in 2018 as he first ran for governor, retired Command Sergeants Major Thomas Bernhardt and Paul Hurst said Walz retired from his 24-year tenure in the National Guard after learning that his battalion would be deployed to Iraq, despite allegedly assuring his fellow troops he would join them. Now, Gray, thank you for your service as the former military Army veteran on the line. What do you think about that? And do you think he should be criticized for this?
It doesn't bother me. If he lied, he lied. I think a few people have done that. No, I'm just saying, as a voter, it doesn't really bother me. Like, here's the thing. I do think Kamala did a head nod to her progressive voters that we got someone progressive. This is Bernie Sanders light in some ways. I will agree with you on that. He wants free lunch. He wants free tuition. So to some
socialism.
So to younger voters, he's going to be more appealing. To rural voters who just, not saying that this is the over there, but they're going to say, okay, it's an older white guy, I can live with that. So do I think what he's saying, what people are saying, is going to stick? I don't think that if she picked Josh Shapiro, you or D White were going to say, oh yeah, you know what, now I'm going to vote for Kamala. So I think he was safe.
You know who had me worried?
Who?
Kelly. Even with the Molly and all.
I feel like Kelly was the best choice because he's an astronaut. But as far as Tim Walz, he earned his position. He went on Fox News. He created the coin term weird. He was the person that created the attack on Republicans that's sticking. So he earned his position. So she said, okay, you know what? You did that for me. Now I'm going to reward you and just keep on attacking. That's what I think is happening.
D White, we got a woman cosplaying to be a black woman running. And now we have a white man cosplaying to be an Iraqi veteran. It's the land of Neverland over there at the DNC this year. I promise you.
You're allowed. You got to remember, you're allowed to identify however you see fit over there. There's no rules. You do whatever you want. I think that is very disgraceful. I don't want to call it disgraceful. Let me pull that back. Let me take that back. I apologize. I don't like the fact that once he knew his battalion was actually going to be sent out to a battlefield, that he abandoned them. That just seems like when times get tough, you run away. And I wouldn't want my leaders or people in power to feel that way about me, because if there might be a time where, just like one thing I can say about Zelensky is, even though I don't like him personally, and I think he's just an actor pretending to be a leader, once Russia attacked, they offered Zelensky a ride out of Ukraine. He told him, no, I don't need a ride. I need ammo. I respect stuff like that. I just don't feel like he'd be the same if stuff was happening here. I'm sure he would probably been the first one on the chopper to get out of here.
He was the last one to come and save Minneapolis when it was burning to the ground.
Yeah, he didn't want no parts of that. No parts of it.
He wanted no parts. But this is who the Democrats are putting in our face. I mean, I didn't say this stuff. This is what's, well, luckily we're finding it now. They'll have it buried in the next week. The other thing that he did was he changed the Minnesota flag, and I have a clip on that.
That would somehow put this flag design and the seal design, which is different, the seal has a loon on it, before the public for a vote. What do you think of this? I mean, a lot of people aren't sure about this design.
Well, look, governors have to deal with a lot of things. This is not the top one on that, but our current flag is problematic. I think we all know that. We've evolved into a more diverse state, and I think it's more reflective of that. But look, while Republicans are going to be talking about this, I'm going to be building roads, bridges, and water treatment plants. While Republicans are talking about this, I'm going to be making sure our kids are eating and we're creating job creation. So they can debate it in the legislature. We'll see where it goes. But I think anytime change comes, I think a lot of Minnesotans, when they look, our flag looks like 19 other states. The current
flag.
Yeah, the best designs are Colorado, Texas, South Carolina, because they follow basic flag principles. And that's what the committee who put this together, very diverse group, and we have experts in that. I did not.
So pretty much the reason why this is controversial is they're saying that the flag design changed and it looked similar to a Somalian flag. So Gray, while I pull up what the flag looks like, tell me what you think about this. Do you think this affects voters honestly, and do you think that it helps or hurts him?
I think that we're probably like much more informed than your average voter. So I don't think that your average voter is going to know a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. Some of the hot stuff, like the progressive stuff, people are probably, the average voter probably will know. But like something like this, like the flag, I don't think they're going to like put too much thought in it. I went to Sarasota not too long ago, and they were changing a flag or something, and people were outraged, but most of the public didn't know about it. So I don't think that this affects him. I think that they need better attacks if they really want to harm him. I think what J.D. Vance has done to Donald Trump, I don't think that he's going to do this to Kamala Harris. I think he's actually going to help her. What do you think, D?
Well, when it comes to the flag, I think that no one outside of a small group of people in Minnesota gives a crap about that flag. I don't think anybody cares about it. Personally, I don't. There's much more to unpack with this guy besides that. And I'm pretty sure that the Republicans aren't going to go down the flag route at all. I don't think you'll hear any of them talk about it besides whoever that lady was on that one clip. The things that we're going to talk about is, one, why does he feel the need to not protect women's sports? Two, they're going to ask, why does he feel the need to put tampons in the boys' bathrooms at school? They're going to want to know that why he feels like illegal immigrants should have free health care and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff. There's no short list to attack this guy on. So I'm pretty sure that besides like I said, besides that interview, you will never hear this flag discussion again.
That's the flag, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
It does look very similar.
Well, I saw this as one of the talking points that Republicans are saying. So to be fair, they are bringing this up, and I'm just bringing the talking points that they're saying. So I will say they are saying they're adding that as well as the other points I've all brought up. And the last point that they're talking about is the fact that he had a DUI. Were you aware of that, Gray?
I actually read that right before we got started.
What are your thoughts on it?
I don't necessarily think it helps or hurts him. I think the VP, I think as far as Joe Biden picking Kamala Harris made a much better VP pick, because as far as Josh Shapiro, I'll focus on that. She already has the Jewish vote because of her husband. So like if they try to say, oh, she's anti-Semitic, they'll say, oh, her husband's Jewish. That's what I keep saying. Then Chuck Schumer's going to come out and say, oh, I'm the Democrat leader, I'm Jewish. So I feel like they already have that checked off. And I don't agree with DEI politics, but Democrats play the same game Republicans do, and that's the game that they're playing right now. What do you think, D?
I don't I don't think that you can say that DEI is a Republican thing. I mean, you guys own that. That's your we
For
can
real, if
never
it was
take that.
up to us, Tim
Yeah, we
Scott would
can,
have been picked.
But
Or
it's
exactly.
Flake
normally
Gabbard.
that it's normally they're picking a person of color or minority, but now they're picking a white person as a DEI pick, which is that's just what I think.
How
Okay.
about the white man pick? Because that's what DNC tried to go
Yeah,
with this
that's
time.
what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah, it's the reverse. You're trying to say that the Republicans usually do the white man, and now they did the white man. So I agree with that. This is what Van Jones had to say on the pick, and he's supposedly some sort of political expert, CNN calls him, and he pretty much sums up and is in agreement with everything we're saying. Let's see what he thinks about the pick, because he has a lot to say lately.
The grassroots, he lit up the internet. He was the first person to come out and define Donald Trump as weird. And suddenly people had a way to talk about him. He's a fascist, he's a dictator. We were actually giving him more power. This guy punctured the Donald Trump balloon and comes out of nowhere, the ultimate dark horse candidate. So it extends the honeymoon. A lot of people are excited, but it's not all one way. You do have the other side of this thing, which is, first of all, what worries me is you see a lot of relief from the conservatives. They were scared of Josh Shapiro. They were scared of a Mark Kelly. They thought that would help define Kamala more to the middle. You see a lot of rejoicing on the right. That's not good. Also, you've got some disquiet in the Jewish community. Some people had their hopes up. Maybe you're going to get another shot at a Jewish vice president. We haven't had.
Gray.
Yes. I agree with him. That's what I've seen the Republicans attack on. But of course, her husband's going to campaign for her and say, no, we celebrate Hanukkah and we celebrate Christmas. So she's not going to have to worry about that. Josh Shapiro had skeletons in his closet, and they were trying to win Pennsylvania. And when people were saying that, oh, Pennsylvania, she's gonna pick him, I really didn't see like a bunch of polling go up in Pennsylvania and say, okay, now it's in the bag. So, and I think he only would have gave her 2 points, and Donald Trump is leading her in Pennsylvania by 4 points. So he just wasn't necessarily gonna guarantee that they got Pennsylvania. And I know that that's what both the Democrats and Republicans are fighting over. JD Vance came with a lot of baggage. They saw that. They said, you know what? We want a safe choice. He did this, so we're just going to stick with him. What do you think, D?
Yeah, I definitely disagree with you. I don't understand why Kamala needs Pennsylvania for her road to the White House. I'm very glad that she didn't pick Mr. Shapiro, because I thought that would, because they love him there. So I thought that would absolutely help her to win it. And like you said, a lot of Republicans are relieved that she didn't pick him. I am one of those people. I'm very relieved she didn't pick him. It makes the pathway a lot easier for Donald Trump back to the White House. This guy, once again, I hate to agree with Van Jones. I hate it, but he's right. There's so many people she could have picked that was in the center, and she chose to pick someone who's to the left of her, and that's crazy. I don't understand why you would do that. Like Trump picked somebody who was came from humble beginnings, from the Rust Belt, to help him get the people that he already didn't have. She doesn't get any new voters from this. She gets the same voters who you're already going to get. And I'm completely sure that you just wait another week or so before the campaign ads against this guy come out. When they,
so excited.
it's going to be terrible for the honeymoon phase is going to be over really, really soon.
Oh, it's
What do you
already
think,
over.
Lord?
Yesterday was the nail in the coffin. This is the nail today. You know who he reminds me of? Let me remind y'all of something from 2016. Do you guys see it?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Tim Kaine. He look like him? Another red-faced man.
He looks like a younger version.
That looks. I thought that was him.
Drink.
But to respond to D. White, I do think that you're gonna have some rural white voters that say, okay, he looks like me. He was a high school football coach. He was in the military. His biography, and they're gonna say, because you got JD Vance, and I'm not saying that this is what's happening in rural counties, but you got JD Vance walking on stage with an Indian wife with Indian children, and you got Tim walking out with a white wife and white children, and I think that's gonna make a
And those
difference.
same people, the moment they hear about the gender affirming stuff and
Correct.
the BLM protest, they gonna say,
Correct.
no.
I 100%. That's exactly how I feel. I'm very empathetic, right, to the feelings of others. And when you say rural Americans, majority of rural Americans do not agree with that. Would you agree?
With the yeah, of course.
Exactly. So it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. They're going to be really turned off by that.
I don't think that and the respect to the LGBTQ community, I don't think that the attacks on the left is sticking with that on them. Do I think that people are going to say, okay, he did this, now Kamala's going to go in there and do this? I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? We have Pete Buttigieg, who is a gay politician, but I don't know if that's going to like change people and say, I know that's the big topic, but I think most people are like inflation and immigration more than that. I think.
He believes that all illegals should have driver's license. He believes that we should also give them free health care. He believes that America couldn't function without illegals. This is all stuff that he said, not me. I'm not making any of this up. And with immigration being such a big part of the talking points in this election cycle, you now have two people who believe that we should just open the door and just let all the illegals in. Two people on the same ticket.
Two people.
I think that's very detrimental for the chances to win.
I can agree with that. The weakest point for the Democrats is inflation and immigration right now. But I would like to remind people Joe Biden did pass the executive order, and the border crossings have dropped 40% when the Republicans decided that they didn't want to pass.
And I also want to remind everybody that immigration was under control until Joe Biden day one decided to break it with a swipe of his pen. Let's undo everything Trump did. Let's undo it, break it, and then 9 months before election, I'll try to put a Band-Aid on it.
Right.
Wow. Whew. So let us know what you think in the chat. Is Tim Walz a good pick for the DNC? Is he more progressive than Kamala? And do these agendas turn you off as a voter? Gray, any closing words?
Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you guys for all sharing. We really appreciate it. We read all the comments and we try to respond to everybody. What about you, D?
Yeah, you guys keep commenting in there. I love reading it, even when you tell me about how wrong I am. I love it. Keep commenting and please share and subscribe.
And shouts out to our UK fans that we've picked up. Our prayers are with you, and we're sorry what's going on there. We'll have more videos coming on that since there seems to be an interest in that. And as always, vote.
Vote.